Salute, salute, salute. Yeah. What's good, ATP Combat Media family? Shout out to my subscribers, man. If this is your first time checking out this content, please remember to go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit your bell icon so you get alert when we drop in all this content. Frank Martin, Gervonta Tank Davis. I took my time and I waited. It does look like it's finally... It looks like it's damn near penned out. We don't see the contracts, but at the end of the day, do we ever see the contracts? We just get the word usually from the fighters, from the promoters, the people around the fight. And at this point, and the only reason I fell back, guys, honestly, from really speaking on this is because I'm tired of the whole entire fights being made, but the fight's not really made. And, you know, in the beginning, supposedly Gervonta Tank Davis and Frank Martin were rumored to be fighting on the March 30th card some months back, but you guys know how that turned out. So hearing it about to happen in June, when you combine the fact that we were hearing that Gervonta was supposed to be going, there were rumors once again of Gervonta going to Europe, to the UK to fight in June, which was also throwing us off just because it had been like over a year now, layover for Gervonta Tank Davis. Rumors coming back and resurfacing about him and Frank Martin again fighting. I just didn't want to feed into the rumor mill. Boxing has been rumor milled a lot in the past year or so, right? Year, 2 years. It's like, what's going on, right? So right now, it does seem like that's what we're going to be looking forward to. It looks like we're going to be looking forward to seeing Frank Martin versus Gervonta Tank Davis. I'm hearing rumors, once again, of it being a Juneteenth scenario to where these gentlemen are going to meet in the square circle. We're going to get to see a great fight, get to see Gervonta Tank Davis fight again, and even Frank Martin from his layover. Last time we knew about Frank Martin fighting, supposedly he was in a negotiation with Shakur Stevenson, and that fell through, obviously, in the wee hours of the evening. Fell apart, right? So right now, it looks like Frank Martin, Gervonta Tank Davis is what we should be looking forward in June. What do I think of that fight? Great fight. I think that's a great fight. Gervonta Tank Davis coming off the layoff, he did. I think him jumping into the ring with an athletic, slick black fighter is a move in the right direction. I think I mentioned that in another video I shot before. Who wins that fight? Well, I think the favorite going in, obviously everybody has to go with Gervonta Tank Davis. That IQ, that experience that he brings to the ring, and obviously that explosive power that he brings to the ring to be able to, a friend of mine last night on the panel, shout out to Ring Rivals over there in Blue Blood, compared him to a gator. And I was like, yo, when he was explaining this, I said, a gator? That's pretty interesting. What do you mean by comparing him to a gator? When he went deeper into it, explaining how, the alligator just creeps out the water, right? He had this little experience, I guess, where he lives out in Florida, where there was a gator that kind of was creeping up out the water. He lives off of a lake. And just comparing that to, you're in the water with the gator, right? The gator's not in the water with you. And it's kind of the same theory, I gotta say, with Gervonta Tank Davis. I gotta agree with my dude Ring Rival, with my boy A-Side. Oh, shout out, Ring Rivals is his channel. You guys should go ahead and definitely go over there and subscribe. But A-Side explaining, that you're in the water with the gator. The gator's not in the water with you. You're always in danger when you're in the water with the gator. And when he comes and gets you, you're not going to even see it coming, right? It's just going to come out of nowhere. He's just going to creep, take his time. You're going to be swimming around in the water, thinking everything is sweet, enjoying yourself. You think you got your eye on the gator. You like, I know if I see the gator come, I'm going to move out the way, get out the water. So I'm not worried about the gator. It's a big lake. I ain't worried about the gator, but the gator's always lurking. And when he strikes, you're not going to see it coming. And Gervonta Tank Davis has that same energy, right? He lulls you into a state of comfort, into a state of believing that you're safe. And then all of a sudden, right, it's over. He's twisting and turning with you at the bottom of the water. He's tearing off, and before you know it, your food, your gator poop, right? So that's what Gervonta clearly brings to this match, and we understand that. And for that reason, and for the fact that he's so tried true, we've seen him do this so many times before, you have to favor Gervonta Tank Davis going to this fight. That being said, we cannot sleep on the ghost Frank Martin, for he has shown his ability to be athletic, to be explosive in his own right. Now, granted, in his last two, I would say his last fight for sure, He did show some chinks in the armor in the space of discipline, patience, right? There were points in that fight to where it looks like him and Derrick James weren't necessarily on the same page. He wasn't listening that much at certain points in the fight, but regardless, able to walk away with the win in that fight. And I say for the bigger spectrum, for the bigger look at the picture, Frank is a great, balanced fighter, right? And we're going to get to see how Tank looks against that kind of fighter who has the athletic ability to keep up with Tank Davis, keeping in mind that they have a history, they sparred each other, and there's already kind of like a pre-confirmation as to how competitive this can be and should be, being what everybody who's witnessed it, who witnessed the sparring session said it looked like. They said it was great work. That's what Frank said, right? We got great work in. And so that being said, looking forward to seeing them have a great fight. How does Frank Martin approach this situation? What's his best way of winning this fight? Well, we got to see how things develop, but I definitely feel like he should understand that you want to see how Gervonta Tank Davis, you don't want to come like everybody else came, right? You don't want to just pressure him and press him, but at the same time, you don't want to be too humble or or too laid back in the ring. You want to balance it out. I think Greg Hackett once said it as well in the conversation, having this conversation about them fighting, saying that Frank should be boxing him when he wants to box him, and and brawling with him when he wants to brawl with him. It should be on his terms. Frank Martin should have his opportunities to capitalize on his athleticism and his explosive power and his IQ, but at the same time not get lulled into fighting Gervonta Tank Davis's fight. You want to make him uncomfortable. Force Gervonta Tank Davis to make adjustments in this fight. Does Frank Martin have the ability to do that? I do believe he has the ability to do that, but I think it's going to take a very laser focused discipline. It's going to take a very laser-focused strategy that he's going to stick to. It's going to take him and Derrick James being on the same page. He has to have faith in Derrick James and what Derrick James is seeing from outside of the ring. When they go to those corners, those are going to be very important moments for Frank Martin to be able to hear what Derrick James is saying and to be able to go ahead and execute what Derrick James is telling him to execute in that fight. This fight is going to be a fight of the mind, as well as a physical challenge for both of these fighters, because at the end of the day, we haven't seen Gervonta Tank Davis in the ring with this kind of fighter, that slick, athletic black fighter. And we understand that's why the whole hoopla has been around about why we want to see him fighting a Devin Haney or Shakur Stevens, right? We want to see how he looks against that fighter because we know how he looks against that flat-footed, come forward, power first fighter. Now with Hector Garcia, when he fought Hector Garcia, we got to see a little bit of that boxer, athletic guy who wasn't just going to come forward. But ultimately, we have to admit that Hector Garcia was coming up in weight to fight Gervonta Tank Davis, but at the same time was finding some success when he was fighting Gervonta. You can see Gervonta had to really figure him out, but ultimately ended up figuring him out, right? My man almost went blind in that fight. Right. So, Gervonta did figure that out, but this is going to be a great fight. I think, it's a 60-40 at this point for me. I'm sure some people will want to stretch it to 80-20 or something like that. I'm not going to do that. I think that's being a little disrespectful to the Ghost, man. I'm going to say 60-40, and I'm going to base that 60-40 really on the unknowns. And what's the unknown? The unknown is we haven't seen Frank in the ring with this level of fighter, obviously, and also he hasn't had the big lights and everything like that. This is going to be his first big show that he's going to be doing. This is just another day in the park for Tank Davis. And another thing, a reason why I'm going to make it a 60-40 and give Frank a real opportunity at winning this fight, as far as the 40%, not the 60, of giving a great opportunity to win this fight, is because this is a long, huge layover for Tank Davis. He's had to deal with legal issues. He's had to deal with issues on how he trains, being that he couldn't leave his state. So he has to really get back into the game and back into the rhythm. We really haven't heard from Gervonta or seen Gervonta or know of Gervonta consistently training. So we're going to get to find out what he looks like after almost a year layoff in the ring with somebody like Frank Martin, who also has had a long layoff but hasn't had the restrictions that Gervonta's had. So he's probably been working out, I hope he's been working out. He's had an opportunity to continue to work out, and he was getting ready to fight Shakur Stevenson at one point in time. So we don't know. And I think there was also rumors that this fight was also part of the reason why him and Shakur didn't go through, because he probably had some information coming in that him and Tank Davis had a great opportunity at going ahead to fight in March 30th. So he's probably been kind of mentally getting himself ready to fight Gervonta Tank Davis for a long time right now. So, there's a lot of unknown variables in this fight that make this fight very interesting. If you're going to beat Tank Davis, I say get him to do a year layoff. That's a good start. Trying to get him, right? Get him off his rhythm, see if you can catch him slipping on his timing, those things that take, activity, more consistent fighting to keep sharp. He's that layoff that he did. Let's see how that affects him. Let's see how he's able to adjust. If he's able to just, jump on the bicycle and ride like he never stopped riding bikes, right? So that's where I think I see it at this point. So it is Frank Martin. It is Tank Davis. Supposedly they're looking for doing a Juneteenth. I don't know where it's going to be. I'm hearing rumors of Texas possibly, but we don't know where it's going to be. I think that's just the significance of the Juneteenth thing. People are just kind of projecting their wants on the space, and we don't know how factual those things are. And I'll be honest with you, I don't even know how factual the fight is at this point. I don't know that his contract, but being that Gervonta Tank Davis has been openly speaking about it now, Frank Martin's also, they've been kind of doing their little thing on Twitter. I say it's a solid 90% chance that this fight is happening in June. Let's see how it turns out, though. Let's see how things unfold. I'm going to be eager to see some workout footage, see what they've been working on. I have seen Frank Martin working out a little bit. It looks like he's working on his core muscle training and his athleticism. He looked like he's working out almost like a football player a little bit. I haven't seen what he's doing in the ring per se, but it's safe to say he's getting ready for something at this point, and it's reasonable to say that he's getting ready for Gervonta Tank Davis. You guys let me know what you think, though. The fight looks like it's going to happen at this point. I'm sure most of the family is going to go with Gervonta Tank Davis, but I'm interested in. I want you guys to put this in a comment for me. I know you think Gervonta is going to win this fight. More than likely, that's what you're thinking. And if you don't think that, I want you to go ahead and put this in a comment as well. You guys tell me, how does Frank Martin win this fight? How does he approach this? Does he even have a chance to win it? And if there is a chance for him to win it, how does he do it? How do you beat Tank Davis? And how does Tank Davis perform against a slick fighter? A fighter who's not necessarily going to feed into everything that he wants, who's just not going to, pressure him and just have him just timing Frank Martin out so he can just walk him to something devastating. He has to find it. If Frank Martin can force Gervonta Tank Davis to find it, this could be a very different fight. This fight can go in a complete different direction, right? So leave a comment. Guys, remember, subscribe, like, hate, and remember to hit your bell icons after you subscribe so you get alerts when I drop this content. And at this point, it's your boy Rain. We out.